when you're 60, think about this. When you're 60 years old, you 100% will not be able to do the same things you could do when you were 20 or even now. Okay, that's just the way life goes, right? And I use the father time reference because Michael Jordan was one of the greatest basketball players ever, and he's damn near 50 something, and he can't play in the NBA anymore. Can't do it. He's still Michael Jordan, but father time is undefeated, right? And so what we want to do is put ourselves in the best situation possible so that when we're 60, right, we want to be able to enjoy active life. We want to be able to do things that we want to do as a 60-year-old, not as a 30-year-old, you see? And so we have to first accept the fact that like aging is a part of life. Our bodies do break down over time. You cannot so the conversation that we're going to have today is centered around longevity. All right. And so I was actually talking to someone who's in the community who's not in the call today. They couldn't make it. And he's a good friend of mine. And he sent me this quote. He's listening to a podcast, I think Joe Rogan or something. And this Gary Brecka guy, who I don't know who he is, he just shared it with me. He said, "Oh man, I heard this really good quote." It was like last week. And this is the quote: "Aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort. The more we aggressively pursue comfort, the faster we age." And I was like, man, that's it right there. That's amazing. I said, I'm going to use that on my call because I already decided we're going to talk about longevity. And so this right here for me sums it up, right? This says it right here. And so, as we work through life, we're always going to be searching out comfort. This is what we do, right? Yeah, I want some better things. I want to be able to do this and drive here and do this. And so this is really what we're fighting here. Okay, when we're thinking about longevity, right? And so what is longevity in itself? So longevity just refers to the duration of an individual's life, right? And so it's emphasizing both the lifespan, so how long someone lives, but more importantly, health span. Okay, and so just one sec. Just want to make sure no one else is trying to jump in here. So essentially, what health span is, right? It's the concept that focuses on the quality of the life, not just how long you live, right? And so the main things that measure this are the following. So physical health, obviously the ability to maintain physical activities and functions such as mobility, strength, and endurance, right? Obviously, these are things we're working on right now. The second thing is functional independence. So the capacity to perform daily activities and live independently without assistance. The next two, mental and cognitive, right? So mental and cognitive health is obviously maintaining cognitive abilities like memory, reasoning, problem solving, etc. And then the last one is disease free. So how long you stay away from chronic diseases. Okay. So most of us have heard of like lifespan, longevity, but health span is somewhat of a relatively new term that talks more about the quality of your life, right? And so that's super important because when we think about it, like there's people who live for a long time, but the quality of life is very low, right? And when we're thinking about back pain, you can live for a long time with it, right? But if you're living for a long time with that your entire life, right, the quality of your life probably won't be as good, right? And so super important, when we're thinking about that is your back pain is going to be a massive factor in your health span, right? And so as we age, right, in the beginning of that quote talks about aging. Some of the stats say that 65 to 85% of older adults experience musculoskeletal pain, with 36 to 70% suffering from back pain specifically, right? Low back pain is noted as a common health problem leading to disability in older adults, right? And so as you're aging, for the most part, I've said this to a few people, like you get back pain now or you get it later. That's typically how it works, right? And so all of us here have suffered from back pain. And for the most part, we know what some of these factors are, right? Sedentary lifestyle is the biggest one. So I want you to imagine the following scenario, okay? So you're sitting in the office all day for hours, every single day, okay? You really only get up to go to the washroom and eat lunch. And then in the evening or in the weekends, you go out, you play sports, or you lift heavy, right? And you wonder why your body's hurting more after you play. So, in the end, you have to take a few days off, you have to rest, or you're getting extreme pain after you're doing those activities. So the question is why is this happening, right? And so the one thing that I think most of you understand is that your body adapts to the stimulus that you give it, right? And so if you're sitting all day, right? Your body will get good at sitting, right? If you're walking around all day, your body gets pretty good at walking around all day. If you lift weights, your body's gonna get stronger from the stimulus, right? And so our bodies are essentially amazing at adapting, right? So whatever stimulus you put it under, it's going to adapt to that stimulus, right? So when we live a sedentary lifestyle, we sit a lot, our core goes to sleep, right? The alignment of our core becomes misaligned, our hip flexors become super tight, our pelvis becomes out of alignment, our glutes fall asleep, right? All those things happen because our body is adapting to sitting or resting, right? Or just not doing anything, right? So you're laying around all the time, right? And so your body will get really good at laying around, right? And it will prefer to lay around. It'll be optimized to lay around. And so then when you go out to do that sport or activity, you lift a heavy weight, you run, you do these things, boom, right? And so, by the facts, the largest factor in the onset of back pain is a sedentary lifestyle. And so the thing that I'd like to add is it's more so the sedentary lifestyle combined with the intense activity, right? Everything's out of alignment, and then boom, you go do an intense activity, right? And so we all remember our back pain moment, right? Where like, oh, I lifted this weight, or I bent down and I like hurt it really bad, right? That moment wasn't the thing that hurt your back, right? It was the lifestyle. It was everything you were doing up to that point. So considering all this, we can see how back pain and health span are directly related, right? If we have back pain, it's very hard for us to have a good health span. So the big thing is what do we do with this information? So this year, Chris or any other basketball players may understand this one here. So Father Time is undefeated, right? This is a reference to, one second here. Sorry, I just want to let Ethan in. So Father Time is undefeated is, I don't even know who said it, but and interject if you've heard this before, but it's typically a basketball saying, and it's because at some point in a basketball player's career, like they're not going to be able to continue to play, whether it's because of an injury or they're just not good enough anymore because they've lost their athleticism. And in our lives, it's undefeated. Like there's nothing you can do about it. You will age. You cannot stop that from happening, right? And so Dr. Peter Attia is currently somewhat the expert. He's writing books and he's kind of at the forefront of this term like health span. And so by his recommendations, we should be focusing on the following things as we move through this thing called life, as we age, thinking about longevity. Okay. So things that we should be focusing on. So addressing how back pain enhances the quality of life in later years. So I should not say enhances and decreases the quality of life. When you're 60, think about this. When you're 60 years old, 100% will not be able to do the same things you could do when you were 20 or even now. Okay, that's just the way life goes, right? And I use the Father Time reference because Michael Jordan was one of the greatest basketball players ever, and he's damn near 50 something, and he can't play in the NBA anymore. Can't do it. He's still Michael Jordan, but Father Time is undefeated, right? And so what we want to do is put ourselves in the best situation possible so that when we're 60, right, we want to be able to enjoy active life. We want to be able to do things that we want to do as a 60-year-old, not as a 30-year-old, you see? And so we have to first accept the fact that aging is a part of life. Our bodies do break down over time. You cannot have a pristine body for your entire life, but you can intervene, right? And you can make your body the best possible version of itself, okay? And so the way that you do this is through movement and functional health, right? And so this is all something that we're trying to do right now, right? We are doing, we're not trying, we are, right? So movement and functional health, right? Movement, pain-free movement, they're all essential for good health span. So regular physical activity and movement, our preparation, they can really help you maintain muscle mass and flexibility, right? Obviously, we know that this reduces back pain, right? If you're able to do those things, you're going to have less back pain, right? Adopting correct movement patterns is super important. We want to mitigate pain, but we really just want to make sure our joints and everything they're functioning at an optimal output, right? Because if you're deficient in certain areas, whether it be strength or your overall mobility, right? You're going to run into issues as you get older, right? You're not going to recover as quick. You're going to be more prone to falls and things of that nature, where you've hurt certain limbs and now you have to recover from that, right? Um, and the next thing is muscle mass and joint health. So Peter Attia simply says that like the number one most important thing as you get older is your muscle composition, right? That's your ability. And I'm not talking about like bodybuilder, like stuff like that. Your ability to be strong and have lean, strong muscle is like probably the number one thing. So strength, right? Bodybuilders are not the best pound for pound strength athletes, right? So bodybuilders are not what you should be aspiring to. Obviously, you're going to want to build muscle, but thinking about that, it's just really important to want to build that strength, right? And so when you're thinking about building and maintaining muscle mass, this is going to be vital, and obviously just injuries across the board, but for your back specifically. And then also something that we work on when we're training together is our joints, right? That's a big part. All those isometric things that you guys have started to do, the isometrics are directly correlated to training joints, right? That's joint health, right? And so regular exercise is super, super important. And I'll add something that I probably said to all of you at this point over and over again, is the idea of these microdose workouts, right? Microdose workouts are the thing that's going to simply but allow you to continue to train without even training, right? It's like you're training, but you're not training, because you're just doing small things throughout the day that allow you to essentially not work out for like an hour or 2 hours a day, right? If you just break it up, right? So I come back to this quote here, right? To wrap it up, aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort. The more aggressively we pursue comfort, the faster we age. And I just added here, simply put, man, it's truly a way of life, right? If you put it this way, if you want to live like the life that you want to if you want to live a certain way later on, you have to live it now, right? Simple as that, right? I know it's simple but difficult, as they say, right? It's a simple idea, but it's often difficult to do in real life, in real time. But I think the one thing to understand, and this is something that I've come to a conclusion in my life, is there's just a cost to everything, right? If you want to live a certain way in your life and you want certain things, that comes at a cost. And this is why not everyone has the things that they want physically, right? When it comes to your body, you have to make a sacrifice to get those things. And if you want to be someone later on in life that moves well and has a good movement quality and everything like that, you have to do it now. And you have to do it for the rest of your life. And this is why it's a way of life. You can't fix your problem now and forget about it, right? It'd be like me saying, hey, I'm going to get super ripped, super strong, and I'm never going to work out ever again in my life. It's fine. That's not going to work. And when it comes to this same concept of health span longevity, it's the same thing,